Hey guys, Tim here, aka FCFan21, bringing you the power rankings for the Slowbro Strict Room Draft League. Disclaimer beforehand, I'm still pretty sick, so yeah, if you hear me cough, sneeze, blow my nose or anything, it's mainly because of that. Yeah, I made a power ranking for the entire league, all 20 teams, and damn, that was a lot of work. Basically, I used a document, what you can see right here, and I just basically said, okay, I think this part deserves that many points, and so on. So it's all just my opinion. So yeah, let me know in the comments how wrong you think I am, because I probably am. I've already seen 2 games being played before filming this, so I already know 2 results. And yeah, let me say the number 20 in my list has already won a game. So yeah, so let's go on. Again, don't take it the wrong way. I just tried my best and mainly went off this dog, and when there was a tie in points, I went off what team I would use. I would like to use instead of the other. So let's see what we do. We start off, of course, with the number 20, and like I said, already won their first game of the season. And I'm talking about the Sutopolis Psyducks, coached by Ducky. And no, this is not a stab at Ducky at all. I know it pretty much feels like that, but yeah. According to the doc I used, it leaves a lot to be desired. Let's start off with the obvious ground weakness. 4 mons weak to ground and just the 1 immunity and 1 resistance is not that great. So basically, if I play against Ducky, I would bring ground types on every mon I have, basically, because that goes so hard against this team. Other things I noticed is Ducky does not have a lot of bulk in his team. I mean, yeah, look at the average stats: 83 for defense, 78 for special defense. Just 2 special defensive mons above 100, and just 3, I believe, above 100 for defense. Not that not that great defensively, but on the other hand, he has a great offensive pressure. Things like Alakazam, the Baxcalibur, Iron Hands, Excadrill, Gengar, Inteleon all pack a big punch and can deal a lot of damage. So especially with Sand, he could end up way higher. I already know he won a game, so he's probably not going to end 20th, but that's what the doc said. Again, Ducky, no hard feelings. So yeah. Are there other things I wanted to say about his team? A thing where he scored low on is knockoff users. He only has 2, and I don't see them run knockoff at all. Gengar and Alakazam. No dark type, which cost him a lot of points. Very toxic spike weeks, so yeah, I think that his team is pretty salvageable, but yeah, just according to the way I did power rankings, there are a lot of things that could be better about this team. Number 19 is the Melbourne Magearna, coached by Your Average Person. So, not sure how this is going to fall down into the commissioners group, but yeah, I think Average Person's team could be way better than it is right now. It is not really sustainable, and with that I mean no wish bashing and not a lot of ways to heal itself. I mean, sure, Dragonite, Volcarona, they both get Roost and slack off on Crocolore and recover on the Knuckle stack, but that's about it. So yeah, there is a lot to be won there. This team is very weak to ground type moves, with Glamora taking 4 times the damage, 3 other mons that are weak to it, and just 1 immunity. And that's a trend I saw a lot of in the league. A lot of ground weak teams. Other things that I might miss. Knock off, just the 2 options. So with knock off being such a great move, I think you could have 1 or 2 more. And something positive is that your team is very scary with setup. Champo, Dragonite, Volcarona, Chestnut as well, Mousehold. All those could be very scary and could sweep teams once they have 1 or 2 turns of setup. Other thing I like about the team is that it has a lot of disruption. A lot of taunt users, some ways of tracking things, a lot of phasing out of my opponents. So there are really some things that are really good about this team, but I also think there's a lot to be won with this team. So basically I hope, especially the somewhat lower teams on the list, could take some pointers from this and improve their teams. So I hope these coaches do take their benefits from this. Number 18, we go to the Cleveland Duperders, coached by Wally946. I go to Wally. I am keeping my dog on my phone with me, so I can always have a look at it. I feel like this team is very weak to hazards. They have only one way of removing hazards, and that's by defog from Moltres. And that means Moltres is bound to use boots every week that it's brought. And that's keeps Moltres very... I think there are more ways than just do a defog roll Moltres is forced onto now. And yeah, it's just... I feel a bit sad for it. I mean, it could be offensive. And yeah, just being the only one way of getting rid of hazards is pretty bad. Besides that, he has 4 mons that can set up hazards. Mega Marwell, I've barely seen use stealth rocks, so that one kind of falls off. Terrakion could use it, but it's not great if you want to use it offensively, so that's kind of falls off. which leaves you with Cloth and with Toxtricity. And besides that, Toxtricity is also kind of offensive normally. And yeah, you don't want to run Cloth every week for Stealth Rocks. So yeah, I really don't like the hazard situation on this team. Looking at the sustainability, they have no Wish Passers. They have a couple of Roosters with Moltres and Squawk, Billy. A Regenerator in Cloth and Blossom and Brood Bonnet get draining moves. So you do have some ways of keeping the team healthy, but there's the snoring. Not that much reliable ways to keep it healthy. On a positive note, of course, there are always positive notes on teams. Your team has a big offensive presence with Terrakion, Manaphy, Zygarde, Setup Toxtricity, Brood Bonnet, Magamawa, of course. Reuniclus is always a big threat in my eyes. And some other things I do like. So, yeah, my nose is really full. Really not Toxic Spike week. There we go. Magamawa doesn't take damage from Toxic Spikes, just like the Moltres, the Toxtricity that can absorb it. Reuniclus with Magic Guard doesn't care about it. Squawkabilly doesn't care about it. So, yeah. If you fix your hazard situation, you would have been a bit higher up the table, I believe. Yeah, so that's number 18. Number 17 is going to be the Detroit Downloads, coached by Zwilux. Looking at his team, he only has defoggers on his team to get rid of hazards. And that's the big thing I do not like about some teams. They only have, or their best ways of getting rid of hazards are defog. That basically means Tinglu does all his work for nothing. Because, yeah, Tinglu is a great hazard setter. And you basically say, well, too bad, and I get rid of it. Cobalion is a possible hazard setter. I've seen it being used that way multiple times, so pretty decent. Aggron is a great hazard setter. Spikes on the Ogerpon are usable. Not gonna say every week, but 1 or 2 times in a 10 game season should be doable. And Toxic Spikes from the Galarian Weezing are pretty great as well. But yeah, what use do they have if you just blow them away when opponents hazard stack you? Some other things I do not like about this team is the big speed tier gaps. Between Bundle and Heart Flame are 26 points. Between the Cobalion and Circuitry are quick math 25? Yeah, 25 points. So those speed gaps are pretty big, and you basically say anything between 90 speed base speed and 107, yeah, just run an attacking nature instead of a speed boosting nature, which is too bad because, yeah, that means your defenses should be well boosted, and yeah, especially your special defense leaves a bit to be desired. I mean, Scrafty is the only thing I see that's really specially bulky. I mean, 89 from Raging Bolt is great if you give it a assault vest, but yeah, not that great. But the positive note is that I like your captains a lot. The Terra captain is Circuitry with Terra, Grass, Fairy, and Electric, and Drifblim is a Z captain. Not sure if Unburden activates after you use a Z move with Drifblim, but it would be a great feature if it does. So that makes Drifblim a great Z captain, I believe. Things I also love is that you are pretty prone to knockoff users. I mean, Scrafty takes those every day. Galarian Weezing doesn't really mind it. Ting Lu can handle it, but the best thing is the Cobalion that's as justified and always get an attack boost after getting hit with a knockoff. So something very enjoyable about that as well. So yeah, Swilux number 17, and we go to number 16, which is Awesomest Guy, coach of the Orlando Bulbasaurs. And we are closely getting to the point where coaches get 75% of all the points that could be gathered. Awesomeness got 72% already, so looking at the team, your hazard situation isn't ideal to say the least. I mean, just 3 Stealth Rockers, with Annihilate being a meh-ish Stealth Rocker at best. Trapinch, not sure if, how many times you will bring it, but kind of leaves your hazard situation up to Empoleon. And even though Empoleon is a great mod, great design, I love the penguin, leaving it all up to him is, maybe too much to ask. So I would invest more in your hazard situation. Get a spinner, get some extra spikers and T-spikers. You have some things that I believe could be dead weight on your team, so yeah, maybe invest in that. Ground goes kinda hard against you. You do have 2 immunities, but besides that you also have 4 weaknesses and a lot of things that take neutral damage from it, so could be better. Again, Empoleon, great mon, great design, love it. Empoleon did get you full marks for the steel type and for the water typing, so great there. A lot of scary setup options with Gouging Fire, Gyarados, Empoleon of course, Annihilate, even the Ursaluna with things like Trailblaze and Swords Dance. Agility from Mega Ampharos could be very scary, so a lot of ways to set up. Your captains are great with Gyarados as a Terra captain, Terra flying, ground, and Fairy. I do think that gives you a lot of potential to just get the right Terra on it, switch it in versus something, make them switch while you set up a Dragon Dance, use the Terra on the mon that switched in to be able to set up another Dragon Dance and just sweep with double attack and double speed. The Trapinch as a Z captain, yeah, I don't think Z Savage Spin Out works with the first impression thing where you can have a priority move, and the Z move will have priority, but I don't know. We'll have to see that. And some other things I do like is your phasing situation. You have a lot of ways to get rid of mons that have setup. So a lot of redeeming qualities, but again, the hazard situation and your ground weakness holds you back by quite a bit. So again, hope you do you have something, you can do something with the feedback I have for you. Moving on to the number 15 on the list, and that is going to be Luxus Lid, coach of the Chirac Chienpaus. Sorry. Your, again, hazard situation is not that great. I mean, stealth rocks from Mega Camerupt. I mean, Camerupt can hardly get attacks off, so that thing being your only stealth rocker may not be great. Basically, the best hazard setter from your team is Tentacruel, which is also your only way of getting rid of hazards. So, not that great, to say the least. Besides that, you do lack a Terra Z Captain. I mean, Low Kicks is a good to great Terra Captain with Terra, Bug, Dark and Electric. But yeah, the lack of a Z Captain, which is a fun gimmick to use in this league, I feel like, yeah, too bad you missed out on that, or at least are missing out on that. Things I do like about this team is your speed tiers look pretty good. No big gaps in between anything, and at least you're higher than Ducky, am I right? Nah, I mean, again, mainly for fun. Things you scored high on are your steel type, Aegislash, got your full marks. Your knockoff situation is great. I mean, I see a lot of mons that can use knockoff very reliably throughout the season. Your dark type with Hoopa and low kicks are just high. Valiant with setup, either physical or special. Dragonlance Curum, Hoopa, a lot of options. And yeah, not really that weak to T-Spikes. So again, we are getting to the teams that slowly get better scores. So there are more positive things to say about it. So going on to number 14, the first playoff spot, and that one I give to the Pittsburgh Patchapods, coached by Theros King. First of all, again, I know a lot of people already said it, I love the logo. Things I feel like you might need is a Wish Passer. I think Mega Swampert and Fortress could really benefit from a Wish Passer, and you do not have one, so maybe trade in a Vaporeon, because for the people that don't know, this is a rain team, and it does have all the pieces of a rain team, with even electric terrain for the Coke from the Coco for the Regieleki. So just looking at those pieces, I think this team has more potential than the 14th slot that it gets now. but there are some things lacking, like ground weakness. You do have two flying types, so that means 2 immunities, but with 4-5 weaknesses. Your team is pretty weak to ground type moves, so yeah, maybe get something like a levitator. Just an idea. Like switch Arboleva for a Rotomo. That does patch up your ground weakness a bit, I think, with 3 immunities, but it is whatever. I think your hazard situation is very solid. Heatran and Fortress is the best hazard setter, I believe, IMO. So a lot of ways to set up hazards. 3 defoggers and 2 rapid spinners. Yeah, hazards look great on your team. Looking at Terra captains, or just the captains. Terra captains not, because one Terra, one Z captain. Barracuda is a great Terra captain for this team. Terra Water, Choice Bandits, Swift Swim, Wave Crashes in rain, just annihilate even the strongest grass type. Terra Fighting and Terra Fairy are whatever, I mean, mainly run Terra Water, I believe. Arboleva as a Z captain should be interesting. Very interested to see how well that thing can do that job. Other things I do like about your team is your pivoting options. Flip turn Mega Swampert, U-turn or flip turn Pelipper, U-turn or Volt Switch from the Coco, Volt Switch on the Regieleki, U-turn for the Jugulus. I mean, a lot of options to pivot around. And something I do like is the fact that T-Spikes are not that prevalent against you, which is fitting against the Petchapults, but besides that, a couple of flying types, some steel types, so yeah, I don't think T-Spikes will be your biggest problem in this draft. So, moving on to the number 13 of my power rankings, and that spot goes to the Boston Bondslice, coached by Colors. Yeah, the first thing that came to mind seeing your team is that you don't have a lot of ways to keep your team healthy. No wish bashing, just a couple of roosters and rest talk Dondozo, basically. And with a couple of roosters, Sinistia and maybe Mesprit. So yeah, not much to keep your team healthy, and yeah, like I said, perma damage. Anything that gets damaged needs leftovers or a citrus berry or something to heal that off. So not that great to start off with. Yeah, like I said, is everyone weak to ground type moves, because I did so far in the power rankings, I did not see much teams that are not getting wrecked by ground team type moves. So something I do like about this team, great hazard situation, solid stealth rockers with Mesprit, Diancie, and Threats. Spike setters are very solid. Toxic spike setters solid. Maybe you could get another rapid spinner, because yeah, you can't run rapid spin every week on your Iron Threats, so I would suggest to get another spinner, but it's not that prevalent. Yeah, and a great offensive presence with Dragapult, Mega Diancie, Threats, Chiyu, Urshifu, Dondozo could be very offensive. So, yeah, I do believe people will be properly scared by those offenses. Looking at my doc, are there other things I would like to say about this team? Setup sweepers or something. Yeah, I mean, Bolt, Chiyu, Diancie, Urshifu. A lot of ways to set up. Yeah, this is the start of the teams I start to really like, and yeah, colors, decent team. A couple of things I would do differently, but still decent. Next up, because I clicked too fast, the Hampton Nuggets, coached by the Nudgy Hampter. Nudgy got a lot of hate because he went for a very controversial third round pick in Sedinja. So let's see how it still ended up 12th. So I do think your hazard situation is pretty weak and really relies on Garchomp, because Stealth Rock on Mega Aerodactyl, I see you use it 1 or 2 times, but not that much. So yeah, your hazard situation kind of comes down to the Garchomp, and with only defocus and no spinners, your hazards are not going to be up for long if someone's deciding to hazard stack you. Again, you know the drill. Ground weakness. Also, have you ever heard of a special defensive mon? Because yeah, you lack it. Like big time. 69 average. I know what I bring and against you, because that will all be special attackers. You do not have a single mon that has a higher SPDEF stat than defensive stat. Oh no, wait, only the Mega Aerodactyl. Well, if that's your special defensive wall, I am happy. If I was your opponent. On the other hand, your physical offense goes very hard. So maybe you were like, yeah, I don't need defenses when I can kill my opponents that fast. But still, we're gonna see. And yeah, I mean, unprepared coaches will lose to a Sedinja set, I believe, but are there other ways you could cheese it? Dracovish is always a way to cheese it, and slacking could turn a game on its head, so you have a lot of cheesing potential. Gotta give you that. So, yeah. Do I like this team personally better than Colors? Not really, but he did get a better score on the dock, so gotta give it to him. Number 11 goes to the Frankfurt Talonflames, coached by Miklas. Miklas tied with someone, and I gotta say, the other team I liked a little bit better. So, looking at the team, your hazard situation is pretty weak. I mean, yeah, Mamoswine can run hazards sometimes, but if you have an offensive Mamoswine, you will not like to run Stealth Rocks, and it all comes down to Mew. So, and Mew is not a reliable hazard setter because, yeah, you either push it into a hazard role week in, week out, which is kind of predictable, or you just don't have reliable hazards at all. Also, something I personally did not like is the big speed tier gaps, especially between Alolan Persian Mew and the 100 Tauros to ADF 5 Tapu Fini. Is something I would patch up, because you do allow opponents to run offensive natures instead of speed boosting natures. But I do really like your captains. Terra Noivern with Dragon, Normal and Steel is a great Terra captain, with Terra Boomburst or just Terra Draco Meteor, and Cinccino makes it hard for your opponent to figure out if it's Scarfed, if it's loaded dice, or does it have a Z crystal. So yeah, I mean, Cinccino is a great Z captain, and I believe the first team that does not cry at the sight of Diglett. Because yeah, you're pretty neutral to it with just 2 weaknesses and 2 immunities. So yeah, pretty decent team. Looking at the doc, if there's anything I do like, while with the lack of you having much hazards, Defog is pretty okay to run, and you have 4, so that's decent. 7 knockoff mons makes me wonder if people are even gonna run items against you. And let's see, pivoting is also well rounded with a lot of pivoting. So yeah, let's see with whom Nicholas was tied for this 10th spot. I can say we have a German tie, because number 10 is Sorrow, coach of the Berlin Boltons. I liked Sorrow's team just a little better personally, so that's why he got a spot higher on my power rankings. Let's start with the obvious thing. No spinner means your hazard setter will do all the work for nothing if you get hazard stacked. So yeah, that's something not that positive. Also, some pretty big speed tier gaps. Swallow Ogerpon is 15 points. Typhlosion Quillfish is 15 points. Again, leaving room for opponents to run offensive natures instead of speed boosting natures. Finally, a team that's very ground proof. We haven't seen a lot of those teams, so great to finally have one. Great setup possibilities with Boswell, Mega Scizor, Clefable, Flygon of course, Ogerpon could run either Trailblaze or Swords Dance, so a lot of ways to boost your team. Some other things I did like were the 3 or 4 knockoff users. Well, Hoopa is not really a known knockoff user, but Clefable, Mega Scizor and Ogerpon can all run it pretty freely, I believe. Ground immunity was covered. Pivoting with a lot of U-turners, Volt Switch options, so also pretty nice. And not a big T-Spike weakness. Swallow doesn't mind it. Zapdos, Flygon, Hisuian Quillfish, Mega Scizor all laugh in the face of toxic spikes, and Quillfish can even absorb them. So yeah, I really do like Sorrow's team. Couple of things I would change, but otherwise, yeah, a clear playoff contender, I believe. Makes me go to number 9, and number 9 is Glacier, coach of the Toronto Tyrantrums. Glacier, you only have 1 reliable way of hazard removal, and that is your Delmise, because Gliscor kinda need his move slots for other moves than Defog. So Delmise is a great spinner, I believe, pressuring spin blockers with Poltergeist, but I would like to see more ways of removing hazards on your side of the field, because Gliscor and Minior are good ways of getting hazards up, but removing them on your side, Besides that, your team is pretty weak to toxic spikes. I mean, Zamazenta Crowned, Gliscor and Minior don't really care about it, and Milotic, I mean, Flame Orb or Burn is better on Milotic than Poison, so kind of in between there, but still pretty T-Spike weak. Are there other things I would change? Those were basically the only things I did not like. The T-Spike situation and your hazard removal. Going on to the positive sides, you can keep your team very healthy with 2 Wish Passers in the Mega God of War and Licky Licky. Besides that, Gliscor keeps itself pretty healthy. Milotic has Recover. Minior can probably learn Roost. Delmise could learn Giga Drain. Not sure. Yeah, with a base attack that's almost 50 points higher, why you would run special, but still, it could. Great Watercore with the Milotic and the Hisuian Samurott. Milotic being more a defensive Pokemon and the Samurott being a more offensive one, which is great. And your pivoting situation is pretty decent. Your team runs knockoff pretty easily, so yeah, I really see you end up on a playoff spot this season. So I hope you can make my prediction come true. Number 8 is going to be the Dalash Wizmakers, coached by Hero, and I want to control. He did tie with the number 7 spot, I believe. Yes, they did. So, Hero. Again, those damn ground types. I mean, almost every team here is weak to ground type moves, and your team is no exceptions. So, maybe do something about it, because it's pretty prevalent here. Also, you have a big speed tier gap in between the Manectric and the Iron Moth. A speed gap from 25. So, basically top speed tier mons from your opponent are welcome to run a attack boosting nature over a speed boosting nature, which could be pretty big, I believe. But those are the only two things I didn't really like about your team. On the other side, you have a great hazard situation with 3 or 4 really reliable stealth workers. Good way of setting spikes. Toxic spikes from Iron Moth are meh, but still have good ways of getting rid of it, but Defog Comfey and Spin on the Tusk. Your setup and disruption on the team is pretty good. I mean, Great Tusk is a good setup. King Gambit with setup. Comfey with setup. Walking Wake could set up, I believe, with Calm Mind. Not that sure, but also the Tangrowth could set up with Swords Dance. So, yeah, great. And I do like the Terra Comfey. Terra Fairy, Grass, and Ground make it a pretty big threat on your team. Glacian as a Z captain could be better, but not the worst thing in the world. Only reason you are 8th and not 7 is because I like the team from the number 7 a bit better. A team I feel like I would use. I would use that team over your team, basically. And number 7 is Melissa, coach of the Girly Tinas. So, before anyone is going to say it, no, she's not number 7 because I would otherwise sleep on the couch tonight. Because there are some things that could be better on this team, but in the end, it is a pretty scary team, I believe. First thing first, you could really use a Wish Passer. Things like Archelodon, the Terrapagos, Torterra, Azumarill could really benefit of a way to get them healthy again. Besides that, you lack a top tier speed mon, so something from 120 speed or above. So I am afraid you are forced to use Scarf more than you would like. Otherwise, great captains. Torterra is a great Terra captain with Terra, Ground, Rock and Water. Swoobat as a Z captain is going to nuke things. I am pretty sure because Simple with a special attack boosting Calm Mind, basically doubling your special attack, is not a joke. And T-Spikes are nothing but a joke to you because Golden Go, Overquill, Archelodon, Rotom Heat, Staraptor, Swoobat all laugh in the face of those. Oh yeah, and I'm also forgetting Leiron in that list, so... Other things I did like about the team... yeah, Hazard situation is pretty good. 3 Defoggers and a spinner. Maybe get another spinner because Terrapagos will not always want to run Rapid Spin. Yeah. Other things I did like. Yeah, Terrapagos and Mega Galate could cheese a win for you. So that's something I really like. Getting close to top 5. Number 6 is HGC, coach of the Tropical 2 Cannons. Yeah, first things first, I think your hazards are a bit lacking. Not that big, but still. Just 2 Stealth Rockers and a Spike Setter isn't that much. And, well, on the other hand, just having 2 Defoggers with not a lot of hazards is justifiable, let's say. Because, yeah, Defog gets rid of both types of hazards, and with only 2 hazard setters, you don't really have to set up hazards every week, I believe. Something I would do different as well is the big speed tier gaps. The jump from Roaring Moon to Sandy Shocks is 18 points. Jirachi Slitherwing is 19 points. Even from Mega Altari to Alamomola is 15 points. Those are pretty big gaps. So if I were you, I would switch that up. On the other hand, you have great sustainability with 2 Wish Passers. Torn T is, of course, a Regenerator mon, just like Alamomola. I believe Vileplume can get itself healthy. Mega Altaria can get itself healthy. So, yeah. Nothing close of perma damage on your team. You have at least 3 great knockoff users, so free knockoff spam for you. Were there other things I did really like about your team? Let's see. A great water type in Alamomola, of course, but that was pretty obvious, I think. Pivoting, you got full marks. Yeah, 3, 4, 5 different volt turners. Other things, setup, got full marks. For offensive and defensive Altaria, Darkrise, and Roaring Moon, Slitherwing, Jirachi, all great setup mons. So other things, you got full marks. Knock off, absorb with 3 booster energy mons. Yeah, Mega Altaria tanks it. So yeah, pretty much. And something I just found out on the fly, what I just found out. I would find a Sunsetter for this team with 3 Ancient Mons. I think they could really benefit from something like a Torkoal, a Ninetales or something, just to set a Sun up and get their Photosynthesis boost. But I don't think it's really that necessary on this team. So you do you, I say. Number 5 is going to Cavern, coach of the Black Parade. Cavern just coming off of a championship in the SBF low tier division where I participated in. Yeah, let's see. Not much hazards. Screamtail, Donphan, and Galarian Slowking are pretty to very good hazard setters. I would get another one just to be sure, but I mean it's pretty decent, but it's just not that much. That's the only thing I would like to say with that. I feel your team is pretty weak to knock off. I mean, Screamtail could tank it, but yeah, not much else. And Screamtail does take neutral damage from it. Maybe a Citrus Berry Morpeko can tank it, but I mean, like a Mega Pokemon like Mega Bayonet doesn't take it that well because it takes a lot of damage even with it being a Mega Pokemon. So yeah, just watch out for knockoff, I'm trying to say. You can keep your team pretty healthy. Screamtail is a great Wishpasser, Talonflame, Mandibuzz, Hydrapple, Galarian Slowking all can keep themselves healthy. 2 with a Regenerator, of course. Mandibuzz, Talonflame with Roost. So I think you have enough ways to keep this team healthy and going. Great Terra Captains, Hydrapple, round 2. Yeah, I believe it is a steal for just 7 points. And that's something we gonna do different next season, I think, for Hydrapple. But we made the tier list pretty early on, and we didn't know that much about Hydrapple at that point, so let's say you just got lucky. And Morpeko is a pretty decent to great Z captain, so yeah, nothing to say about that. I think that's a pretty great pick. Other things I did like about your team. Speed tier gaps leaves a bit to be desired with the Talonflame Screamtail gap, but not much besides that. You run knockoff pretty easily. Yeah, the ground type weakness, again, pretty prevalent here. Decent pivoting with not a lot of damage, but still some things like Galarian Slowking, Chilly Reception, which is not on the list. Chilly Reception in combination with Arctozolt could be very interesting. a lot of disruptions. So yeah, all with all, a very decent team and just outside the top 3. So the last coach falling outside of the top 3 is going to be Kenny's Goldenrod City Gengars. Kenny again does have a ground problem. Yeah, I feel like a record on repeat with this because almost every coach has a ground weakness in the league. So yeah, Kenny is no different from that. Again, I feel like you run Defog over Hazard, over Rapid Spin, and with your Hazard situation, that's a shame because I see multiple mons that could set up Hazards pretty reliable, and yeah, after that you probably defog them away. So yeah, I feel really bad about that, but I guess get another Rapid Spinner. Because yeah, Skarm is a great hazard setter, Shuckle is a great hazard setter, Lando can set hazards really reliable, Primeape is a decent hazard setter, I can see Naganadel set up hazards, Meowscarada could go for hazards to get a ground or poison type, so who knows. And something I really liked about this team is that hazard setup goes pretty hard. Contrary Shell Smash Shuckle would be fun to see. Swords Dance, Bouffalant, Lando and Skarm. Skarm? Yeah, Skarm, I guess. Nasty Plot Raichu, Cotton Guard, Bouffalant. So a lot of fun ways to set up with this team. Skeledirge, of course, sets up with Torch Song. Yeah, a lot of ways to make this team even more scarier. You have a Primeape, so a great defog punisher. One of the few teams that does have a defog punisher. Your ghost type is Skeledirge, so a great spin blocker. Terra Captains are decent. I feel like Blastoise could be switched with something else, but that's up to you. And Raichu is a pretty decent Z Captain. So yeah, with a bit of luck, and of course I did not look at the schedules from each coach, so yeah, with the right schedule I think you can even make some higher places, but we'll have to see. Going into the top 3, the number 2 spot was tied with this, and I think this team was a little bit... I desired a little bit less. So number 3 is Lunar, coach of the Dragon Dance Revolutions. Again, nothing against Lunar, I just like the number 2 team a little bit better. Looking at this team, I do not think you're gonna use knockoff all that much because it's a great move, but Lando will not run it consistently, and I don't see you bring Shiftry every week. So yeah, I don't think knockoff, which is a great use, will be much of use for you. I do believe your setup situation could be a bit better. The thing I wrote in my doc was I see some fun options, but nothing that makes me crap my pants. So yeah, I mean, nothing that really pops out to me like, oh my god, this is something I need to prep for, because otherwise it could run through most teams. But if those are my biggest critique points, this team must be pretty good, right? I mean, it has 2 Wishers, and Vaporeon is a great Wish Passer. Latias is a pretty good Wish Passer, so keeping this team healthy will be pretty easy. Is there something touching the ground? Because 5 immunities is pretty great in a furthermore very ground weak draft, I believe. So good for you. I think you have a top tier steel type with Celesteela. It's a mon I really hate building for when I face it. So yeah, good for you on drafting it. Anything else? A lot of pivoting options. A lot of very solid disruption core. Not all that weak to T-spikes. And you could even absorb them with neutralizing gas wheezing. But yeah, that is what it is. So yeah, a very solid team, and I think a very deservingly 3rd spot. Leaves me with the coach that basically tied with you, and that is Willow, coach of the New York Red Buffalons. So at least one of the commissioners got a high spot on my power rankings. Looking at the team, the things I not really like are the speed tier gap between Cyclozar and Victini, which leaves a bit to be desired. Only 3 months to keep themselves and the rest healthy. Togekiss is not the greatest wish passer. Besides that, I think Togekiss gets Roost. Cyclozar is a regenerator mon. And is there anything else? Not sure if something like Solrock Gust gets Roost or Recover. Cyclozar, Togekiss, yeah, that's about it. So yeah, not a great way of keeping your team healthy, but you have great removal with Defog on the Togekiss and Rapid Spin Cyclozar. Great pivoting options with 7 ways of pivoting out. Your hazard situation is very good. Anything else? Your captains. Issuing Electrode as a Terra captain with Electric, Ice and Ghost. Solrock as a Z captain. Very curious about what you would do with it. A lot of disruption. Setup. Single Strike Urshifu is way better than Rapid Strike Urshifu, so great way of setting up. Victini can set up. Spectrier setup. Mega Blastoise setup is very scary, so a lot of Mickey potential to cheese it. Very knockoff resistant with Urshifu Single Strike, Togekiss, Ferrothorn. So yeah, really like the team, and yeah, that only leaves one coach to get the number 1 spot, and you hate to see it, but it's Daniel, coach of the Glasgow Gudras. Yeah, my only real thing I have against this team is so much defog, while you have so much reliable options to set up hazards. So yeah, that's the only thing I don't really like about your team. Balanced speed tiers. Rotom Wash is a great water type. As expected from Daniel, enough things that can be pretty bulky, like Runa Regress, Blissey's, Incineroar, Bulu as a Terra Captain. Rotom Wash is pretty bulky. Silvally can be built bulky. Cryogonal can be bulky. So yeah, I really like Daniel's team. I think they are deserve the number 1 spot, I think. So yeah, those are my power rankings. I hope you enjoy them. Let me know down below if you agree with your number, and if not, why you think you deserve somewhere else to be somewhere else on the list. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all next week on Monday for a recap of week 1 of the Slowbro Strict Room. I hope to see you then, and until then, bye!